that we can talk about with dogs is there is the dog's body language that they use to communicate with us and with other dogs. And then there's our body language that communicates with the dog. And that's what I want to talk about today is our body language, the human body language, and what our bodies are doing to our dogs. A couple of things with dogs is they pay attention to things in a different order than we do. When a dog walks into a new environment or a room or something like that, the first thing that they do, the first sense that they pick up is their smell, their nose. So they smell the stuff. Then they look at what is going on in their brains, and then the next thing is they listen. So listening is the last thing a dog usually does in order of importance for its senses and how its brain works. Where humans, when we walk into a new room or a new environment, first we'll see things. So we'll look around and we'll see what's happening in the area. The next is we're going to start to notice what we hear, and we listen to things. And then probably the last thing way down the list, unless it's a terrible smell, is we smell. And we might not even notice that we're smelling. So dogs have got kind of an opposite way of approaching things. So that's why I want to talk about body language and what we do, because they look at us more than they listen to us. So this will be a good way to maybe help you working with your dog. So dogs have a bubble, a space around them that they don't like us to be in, or that they're okay with us being in. They may be comfortable or uncomfortable depending on how close we go. Some dogs will let us lay on them and pet them and hug them, kiss them and do whatever, and they could care less. In fact, they even enjoy it a lot of times. And there's other dogs that we may interact with or that we may have that are going to be afraid of that, fearful of that, uncomfortable with that, getting in the dog's space. So one of the first things we need to remember with our body language is try not to get into their space too much, and communicate with them in a different way. So let's talk about our body language and how we are doing things, right? And Zaz is down here on the floor. If I lean over him, he usually gets up and walks away because I put pressure on him with my entire body. I put the pressure on him by leaning over him. Or if we're facing the dog or we're sideways to the dog. This is something that works really good with rescue dogs and dogs that are in kennels. If you approach the kennel head on, face to face, the dogs will be a little bit hesitant, may back up to the back of the cage or back away from you. But if you come in on a dog sideways and walk sideways and don't make a lot of eye contact with them, just kind of look out the corner of your eye, reach down and pet them that way or kneel down and pet them that way, that works much better than head on. Dogs don't like that when we're right head on to them. In fact, when dogs greet each other, they don't like head-on greetings either. Some dogs are what I call space invaders. They will get up on us and crawl on us and hang on us and stick with us wherever we go. And those are usually the dogs that are going to be okay with you being in their space or being in their bubble or being real close to them. So get to be careful and know your dog, and know what they are comfortable with. All right. Next thing is Dogs are experts. Dogs are experts at body language. Like I said, they could care less what we're saying, but they are watching us constantly all day long. If you look at your dog and your dog is awake, you look at your dog and you're doing something, your dog is probably looking at you, looking back at you and observing what you're doing. So they become experts at learning us by watching us. So if we get up and we walk towards the refrigerator or the kitchen, the dog kind of knows, okay, food or treats might be involved in that. If we get up, say we grab our keys and we walk towards the door, they probably figure out that we're going to be leaving or going for a ride or going for a walk. So they really watch everything we do. If you have your treats in a certain cupboard, the dog, and you go walk towards that cupboard or reach towards that cupboard, the dog knows that's where the treats are. So they get really good at learning all of these different things that we do, so they can learn about us and basically pay less attention to what we say. So, talk about hand signals real quick here. Get Mr. Zaz and my treats so I can get his attention. So let's bring you over here, buddy. Come here. So hand signals are taught at first by using a food lure. That's having a treat in your hand, lifting it up, the dog sits, going down in front of him, the dog goes down, lift it up, the dog sits. Good job, good job. So what happens next is we don't have a treat in our hand after we practice for a while. Come here, sit. Come here. No, you're too far. There we go, sit. Over here. Okay. So, get nothing. You sit. That's demo dog time. Thank you. Okay. So what we do with our hands with the treat then becomes the hand signal. So my hand goes down, dog goes down, dog comes up, dog comes up. And they learn that by following the treat at first. You can change your hand signals to whatever you want. And I have a down hand signal that's up in the air, like that. And I have a down hand signal like this. I have a come touch my hand, which is just put my hand out. So we do a lot of different things that we can teach the dog without having to talk to them, but by using our hand signals in our body to teach them things. We have the stop sign for wait or stay, whatever you want it to be. And you can even use come to like move your hand and tell your dog to come to you. Good job. So, dogs pay way more attention to our body than our words. So try to pay attention to what you're doing with your body when you're working with your dog. Alright. Couple other things with turning sideways with a dog, with approaching a dog head on or approaching a dog approaching a dog sideways is you can wiggle a little bit. Quiet. Zaz's getting very excited. So if I wiggle a little bit, he's going to get more excited and be more friendly. If I come towards him, he usually moves away. So that puts pressure on him when I do that. If you move your shoulder, and your dogs are real good at watching your shoulders, they will follow around your shoulders really good. So I can use my shoulders, I can use my body, I can use my hands to be able to move the dog around without having to give, and this is quiet, without having to give any verbal cues. Thank you, Zaz. What we do with our hips, what we do with our shoulders, what we do with our hands, what we do with our feet. Which way are your feet pointing? dogs kind of pick up on the way your feet are pointing. That's the way you're going to go. So they get really good at watching all of those things. Another thing is the play bow. If you do a play bow with your dog, they think that's fun and that's silly, and they get really goofy. I know Zaz does, and I take my glasses off because he gets so silly with it. Another thing is our eyes. What we do with our eyes when we're looking at them. Some dogs don't like it when we look directly stare at them. A lot of dogs we have to teach that when I look at you, I give you a treat so they're okay with us staring at them. Another thing that we do with our eyes is what we look at, the dog generally looks at. So if he's watching my eyes and not my treats, and I look over there, Zaz kind of peeks over there. If I look down, a lot of times he lays down or he looks down. So they look where we're looking. And I also use that when I'm working on retrieving an object. And there's several objects. I will try to look at the object that I want him to get. So what our eyes do have a lot to do. We can also stare down some dogs and make them fearful of us. And we don't want to do that. We don't ever want the dog to be fearful of us. So be careful. If they look away from you with their body language when you look at them, they might not be comfortable with that. So they follow our eyes and they kind of do what our eyes do. So there's a lot more to body language and speaking between us and the dog. But I guess the biggest thing to take away from this is that it's less about what we say and what they hear and more about what they see and what they see us do and how that rewards them or how that works for them. So thank you guys for listening to us. Zaz, give us a high five, buddy. Thank you.